Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Greetings to the whole free leg, to all the families of the 12 tribes of Israel, and to all the good people of all nations. Of a human family that want to get right with the Most High. Alright, always led by the Spirit. This is going to be part 1 of a 3-part series. We're going to give you 10 women. We're going to call it the wicked women of the Bible. Part 1 is just going to be Eve, because it's a lot to say there, man, kind of an exhortation for me to do this, but, part 1, going to call this Wicked Lies, the story of Eve. How the first woman swallowed the first lies, But before that, let's go to scripture. This is Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9. The heart is devious above all else. It is perverse. Who can understand it? I, Yahweh Elohim, test the mind and search the heart, to give to all according to their ways, according to the fruit of their doings. Like the partridge hatching what it did not lay, so are all who amass wealth unjustly. In midlife it will leave them, and at their end they will be proved to be fools. O glorious throne, exalt from the beginning, shrine of our sanctuary, O hope of Israel, Yahweh Elohim. All who forsake you shall be put to shame. Those who turn away from you shall be recorded in the underworld, for they have forsaken the fountains of living waters. The Most High, the Ancient of Days, Yahweh Elohim. Right. Okay, let's get it fine. You could see Eve, envisioning, Eve swatting flies away, but they keep coming, too many, for her to count, But she has grown used to it, The constant annoyance from Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies, another name for Baal, for the sun, for Hasatan, Satan, the idol that deceived all the nations, the God of this world, who was a dog in Orion before he fell off like lightning. But still, Eve is, she's a splendid creature, man. Probably like the most beautiful woman in the world, she had memories, but they're probably not long. Some of them probably were sharp, bright, and also with shadows deep and long. After all, she did know, what was, she knew what it is to walk with the Most High, in the Garden of Eden, in the path that, that went to green pastures, green meadows, and lead to still waters. When her and Adam were hungry, they just nearly had to just extend their hand and grab any, pick any fruit, of abundance of, olives and citrus, almonds, and all kind of, giant size, fruits back when oxygen was very, very, very good. That's why most creatures were big back then, And, she probably, she probably, when they first fell, she probably had recalled, the sense, of having every need taken care of, to walk with the Most High, and the evening breeze, to know the immensity of His love, how He used to tell her that, He made her and Adam in His image, that, that she and her husband, are to rule over the fish of the sea and the birds and of the air and over all the whole earth, that He has made, and they are to be fruitful. Remember, He said to be fruitful, multiply, so they can take care, for His great creation. He basically gave them dominion of His creation. He spoke to them of how He separated light from darkness, and fashioned two great lights. The greater light to to govern the day. That's the sun, and the lesser light to govern the night. The moon, the night watch. He tells he told them of of His delight, and placing the stars on their tracks, in the sky, They probably just looked at them like, little small speckles of light, all over the canopy, all over the firmament. Life was good for them at one point, man. They used to, hearing wonder, as the Most High used to speak knowledge to them. He made a home for her and Adam in east of Eden, basically paradise, man. With all kind of trees, and pleasant plants and animals, and just beautiful place, man. Abundance of food, But in the middle of that garden, there was the tree of life, and there was also the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And you know, I'm sure that she, you know, I'm sure that she recalls when Adam had told her, how the Most High shaped him out of the dust of of the ground. He probably remembered, the the hot, sweet breath of the Most High waking him and making him a living soul. You know, Yahweh Elohim loved him so much that he even grabbed all the animals and brought them before him, and he allowed him to name them. He named the baboons, the gazelles, the parrots, cheetahs, monkeys, everything. Elephants, lions. You know, and this was before he had put Adam to sleep and took a rib out to create Eve. To draw her from his side, from the hips. You know, when they were one. For when the two have been one. That's why amongst all the creatures, the Most High, saw that Adam couldn't be alone. You know what I'm saying? So he gave it. He created woman. And that's why he fashioned woman. From the rib of a man, and that's why Adam said. Remember when he said, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. He even named her woman. Adam did. Because she was taken out of man. You know, Adam and Eve, man, the two completed each other, man. You know what I'm saying? Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, okay? Because homosexuality has been an abomination. It goes against the natural order of things. They lived a peaceful life in Eden, man. I wonder, she remember, at some point, when the fall, must have ticked to her, that she must have remembered, what she didn't know at first, I'm sure her and I had no idea there could be a place less perfect, a life less loving, a future less bright, that sin could lure at, at their doorstep, at their door basically, waiting for a chance to, beat them down and shatter them, what I'm saying, to a bunch of jagged pieces, man, each one being a thorn, man, what I'm saying, and a barb, after that, deceit, blame, wants, shame, terrible grief, all these and worse, she and Adam had come to know after, they took the knowledge of good and evil, divination, you know, they probably like fucking bitterly like reminisced and mourned, about the life that was, all the plants, the food, how they had it good, man. And she probably, at some point, she probably wondered, why Yahweh Elohim told them they were, free to eat from any tree except from, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, warning them that death, would surely follow if they did. But what exactly was this death he spoke of? Not just, any creep, like, I don't think she was aware of that, you know what I'm saying? She didn't know exactly what this was, But then, also, not just any creature, but, the serpent, which in Hebrew means, witchcraft, sorcery, someone practice divination, Nahash or Nahish, what I'm saying? It says here, the Bible says the serpent, was more craftier than all the wild animals that Yahweh had made. Crafty, that's witchcraft, what I'm saying? Divination, man, because, he calls, he's a celestial body, man. Of course, he's got that, you know, divination, man. And, in Genesis tells you too how, like these wandering stars, they fell in love with these women and they became their spiritual fathers and husbands, man. Now, that the serpent he spoke in beginning tongue, which is deceiving. He lied. He's a liar. That's why being a habitual liar is a terrible thing, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not of the Most High at all, man. Everybody lies, but you shouldn't be a habitual liar, man. Lying about every little fucking thing, man. You know it. You know, at some, the serpent too. He tricked her. He told her like, why would Yahweh Elohim deny anything from you? When they were like the crown of his creation, he must have told her that. You know what I'm saying? That hey, everything is made for you. You know, so it probably like at that time, like for the first time, it must have dawned on Eve, that she might be lacking something. That Yahweh Elohim might be withholding. Something vital that she needed to know, but she feared such thought of it at first. But he knew that she was the wicked vessel, so he worked that angle. Because Adam was loyal. So the serpent, of course, he told her, that you should surely not die. For Yahweh Elohim knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like, the Most High, knowing good and evil, to know what is good in every situation, to see the end from the beginning and everything in between, to be able to achieve, goals with flawless precision, absolute certainty, like be self-dependent, and be self-mastery, men, you know what I'm saying? So she surely thought that, she was intrigued, man, you know what I'm saying? She thought, that was wisdom, and why would Yahweh want to keep this gift of power from her? She must wonder. I'm saying because she went ahead and did it. So she ate and then she gave to her husband. Suddenly their eyes open and they could see the wrong in each other's hearts. Saying now they knew saying about lust and all the wickedness, good and evil, and ashamed of their nakedness. That's what it says, be naked. Because before they were pure. That's why it said the scripture that only the pure in hearts, like Mashiach Yahushai will see the Father, so they grab fig, leaves from a fig tree and they cover themselves, and they started mixing in with amongst the other nations, you know. Then they heard, then they heard the sound of, the Most High, what I'm saying, walking in the mist, in the evening in the garden. So they hid from him. And he said, where are you, right? So y'all called them, but after all, who can hide from the Most High anyways? He already knew what went down. So Adam said, I heard you in the garden. They said, Adam said, I was afraid because I was naked. So then the Most High told him, which he already, like I said, he already knew. He asked Adam, who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree of knowledge, good and evil, which I told you not to eat from? And, he struggled to explain himself. So then, finally Adam spit out the truth, but not the whole truth. He began with an insinuation of blaming Yahweh Elohim for what he had done, in a sense, because after all, Yahweh Elohim gave him the woman. So he bent, the consequences in Eve's direction. You know what I'm saying? He said to the Most High, the woman that you gave me and put here with me in the garden, she gave me some fruit and I ate. So there you go. See, he already was defiled. Then Yahweh Elohim turned to Eve, right? And he told her, what is this that you have done? And the question must have pierced through her, and probably terrified her, But she also prevaricated, like Adam, refusing to bear the whole blame. She said, the serpent deceived me, and I ate, So, Yahweh Elohim turned towards the serpent, which is the sun, you know what I'm saying? And he said, because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock, and you will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust of all the days of your life, right? And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. You know what I'm saying? But see, I'm going to stop it there. See, and that was the first time, Mashiach Yahushai was prophesied to come into the world, man. And the serpent seed are those that practice divination, you know what I'm saying, and idolism, knowledge, good and evil, zodiac and all that. And the seed of woman is, the sons of the Most High, who are vessels for the Holy Spirit, like where the Israelites came from. Now, See, but that wasn't all of it either, though. Because he told Eve, right? I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain, you will give birth to children, and your desire will be before your husband, and he will rule over you. Remember, this is physical and spiritually. Physical, of course, her husband Adam, but spiritually, her husband had become Satan. I'm saying the nation, witches, the Watchers. You know what I'm saying? That's where the craft came from. And when I say here that that will greatly increase the pains of your childbearing, because now she was gonna have good kids, bad kids, just the stress of them being in that conscious of knowledge, good and evil, that she won't know what she's gonna get, what kind of grief they're gonna give her. After all, like her first one became a murderer, and then her second was the victim of the first. So all bad. And to Adam, he said, because you have listened to your wife and ate, of the fruit that I told you not to, cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. That means that he will mingle, amongst all these other nations and be under other governments, become citizens of other countries, be exploited, By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return, you know, to the ground. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. See, and cursed be the ground now, because who's on the ground now? Saying the devil's son eating dirt, man, because he's eating souls of men, and he goes through the pit, man, and he's boiling up, cooking the earth, man. The dirt, man. So Yahweh Elohim, his words probably, it struck like lightning, saying, starting flashing in a storm, and then all of a sudden, I guess it must have dawned on them, that their future was bleak, saying, it was looking very bad at that point. As for the Most High, though, I'm sure he was grieved, he was very grieved by what had happened. How the man and the woman he had loved and he had created had failed to love him in return, man. Because, loving him was disobeying him, man. He could not let them, so in that defiled state, he could not let them remain in the garden, that he created. So, for they had, unless, they would stay there and reach out and eat of the fruit of knowledge, of the tree of life, saying, and they would forever be stuck in their sins, and then there would definitely be no possibility of becoming, other than what they were, broken and full of sin, man. So the Most High, he banished them, and he placed on the east side of Eden a cherub and a flaming sword flashing back and forth, swayed away, saying, to the way to the tree of life, and see, and that's the sun, man, because he rises in the east, and everywhere you go, he's a flaming sword, and under him being the God of this world, and humanity being under the knowledge of good and evil, you'll never get to the tree of life, not until Mashiach came in, he bridged the gap, But see, not all was completely in darkness, though, for Adam and Eve, because, after all, they had listened, to the, they had listened to the Most High, that he said that, that he would put enmity between her seed and the seed of the serpent, and that, her seed will stomp his head, So that was, a glimpse of hope right there. Adam and Eve, they had listened to the biggest lie of all, man, because that's why I put her first on that list of top 10 evil women in the Bible, because through her was sin and death came, what I'm saying? But, the Most High had something in mind more than punishment, what I'm saying? Like I said, she had heard that, gave him the hopes of, of Yahweh, because, look, man, like I said, in anguish, she had Cain, who was a murderer, then her other son got killed, and then, then she got blessed with Seth, right? And Adam, he just labored away, saying, from morning till evening, from when the sun rises to the drops, the God of the world. The Most High, he had already seen the end and the beginning with everything in between, and in his great love, and with his absolute certainty, he had already set a plan in motion, to draw his people back to him. See, he always had a plan to bring back humanity to him. This bold plan would take, uncountable years and, unfathomable, obstacles and whatnot, but it would come to be, Mashiach Yahushua, and, and that was the hope, for humanity, because, through his great majesty and wisdom, Yahweh, he eventually provided a way, for his children to come back to him, like I said, right? In the time frame of this to happen, this story took place before, the recording of time. This story is, told from Genesis chapter 1 to chapter 3. But according to, the world, the worldview, that prevailed, amongst, other nations, around Israel, in the ancient, near and Middle East, in Far East, near Middle and Far East, the primary role, because remember in Numbers he said how he had given, all these nations to the heavenly body as their inheritance, the primary role of human beings was to serve, the needs of their gods, they were to do the menial, like minions, work, you know, uh, you know, for the divine beings, we're tired of doing, especially, the work of like providing food for them, because humanity had become, when you're under knowledge, good and evil, you become vessels, what I'm saying, for entities, what I'm saying, in heavenly places, you know. But, in contrast to that, saying Genesis presents, Yahweh Elohim as the one who not only creates the first human beings, but he, in the beginning he provided food for them. He's pretty much a biodome, man, you know what I'm saying? For them to live, the implications in Genesis is that, the garden was pretty much a place where the Most High would dwell amongst them, Genesis also makes it clear that men and women, unlike the rest of the living beings, Yahweh Elohim created, they were made in His image, see, because they were made to be vessels for the Holy Spirit, the gods, they planted, the images of themselves or of of idols or monuments, what I'm saying. These images took, even certain kings and whatnot, they took the shape of idols and all that, what I'm saying. The other nations, the people, they took them as a divine, sanctuaries, and like the essence, the gods were still with them, and that's why, Cain's first Enoch, saying he went to Mesopotamia, his seed mingled with, with, fallen angels and the schools of alchemy and, sorcery and, of craftsmanship, of building swords and all that came from that, from that knowledge on the left-hand side. But Genesis at the end presents it to only one Elohim, our creator, the creator of everything, So, when he created Adam and Eve, he also created them as like an extension of him. He didn't make them slaves like humanity became slaves for these other gods, you know what I'm saying? He treated them as, as his reflection, man. And he even told them to be fruitful and to increase in numbers and to fill the earth and subdue it, It's kind of hard to, the way we live, in this hellhole of a world now, it's kind of hard to imagine, all that Adam and Eve lost by giving into temptation and transgressing, and disobeying Yahweh Elohim's command, But immediate action of that was, shame, man. They bear the shame of the iniquities, because before that they had nothing to hide, but now no amount of clothing could cover, the shadows, the demons they were living, man. And that concludes this, man. I hope this was edifying, Most High be willing to provide, we'll do, we're gonna do part 2 will be, Jezebel and her daughter Atalia, and maybe Herodias, and then from there we'll do Potiphar, the wife of the Egyptian. They try to frame Joseph, and of course Delilah, the witch of Endor, Lot's wife, Gomer, the mother of Hosea, And last but not least, Babylon, man. You know, just because either it's physical or spiritual. Well, on that note, family, I'm gonna say glorify be how by Shem Hushain, glorify be El Kakatash, Kwam Shubala, and Shalom.